Welcome to Beyond Resume, the podcast where we go beyond the credentials and titles to discover the real stories that shape exceptional leaders. I'm Kaushik, and today I'm thrilled to have a very special guest, someone who is not just a colleague from the industry, but actually my super senior from school. Avijit Nayak is a technology strategist, enterprise architect, and program owner at Toyota Industries Commercial Finance. But those only scratch the surface. Abhijit's journey takes us from a tier 3 suburb in India to leading multi-million dollar digital transformation across continents. He's someone who coded COBOL on mainframes and now architects cloud solutions, who has spent nearly 2 decades at one company before making a strategic move, and who somehow finds time to mentor scouts on weekends while continuously learning. Most recently, completing an AI ML program from UT Austin. Avijit, welcome to Beyond Resume.
Thank you, Kosik. It's truly an honor to be here. I know you talked a lot about me, which is more of a, like it sounds more of a title on the paper, but I will say it's more of a long waited or long overdue catch up with you. It's good to see you. And I have to say that I am honored and to talk with you. I have went through your resume. It's fantastic. You have gone well beyond everything. And I'm very happy to be here. Uh, let's get started.
Thank you so much. Let us start at the beginning. Now, you grew up in a tier 3 suburbs in India, became a school topper who got into one of the country's best engineering school, Indian Institute of Engineering and Technology, Shivpur. What was that environment like? And what drove you to aim so high when the odds weren't necessarily in your favor?
I'm always grateful for what I had, and I am really thankful to my parents for giving me the best. If I look back, I'll say for us, education was the primary vehicle for change. As you mentioned, like I was growing up in a suburb in India. So when I was in school days with you, for me to do a good result was almost one of the criteria or one of the goal for me. I dreamed to go to an engineering college. I was looking for that. But when I went to the engineering college, I kind of felt I don't know a lot. And I got an opportunity to learn a lot when I was in B college. And at the same time, I'm not telling, when I'm telling learn a lot, it's not only educational point of view.
Hmm.
I learned a lot from different faculties, professor, seniors. Knowing the B college, the rich history of it, seniors also helped a lot. Getting that opening was a big deal for me. And from there itself, I got my first offer with TCS. That also threw me another dimension and opened a big horizon for me. Looking back, what I would say, I always had a next step. I thought about my next step, try to achieve that. Once I reach that, I put a new goal, try to achieve that. So that my passion to reach the goal probably did bring me here.
Great. Uh, so, so you had this strong foundation from school and engineering college, uh, but knowing the destination and actually making the journey, I think those are two different things. So, uh, what I would be, more keen to understand that after you completed your school and college, I believe then came a massive transition, right? So you moved from India to working with major financial institutions in LA and Dallas. Now, that's just not a career move. It's a complete life transformation. So what was the biggest cultural shock like, and what surprised you most about working in American corporate environments versus, I'm sure, maybe what you expected?
It was a massive move for me. To be honest, when I took the first flight to LA, I never thought at that time I will be staying here. It's about 22 years back I took my first flight, and that night I can still remember I took a Singapore flight. That night, that was my first flight in my whole life. Sitting there, I was thinking, okay, I'll go there once and I'll come back. But within last 2 decades, I probably took more than 100 times. Last year, when I was coming back here, I counted about 100 times I took the flight to going back and forth. When I landed here, it was a kind of shock, and I got shocked one side from professionally, another side from my personal side also. Just to start, like I'll give you, first time when I landed here, I tried to mm, dial or make a phone call. Those days, cell phone was not available, so you need to put a coin. I tried to put a coin, and when took the cent, those coins, 25 cents was as looking as 50 paisa from India. So I was confused and started with that. I came out of that airport. Nobody was honking. That was kind of a surprise. And now also I go back to India and I tell my son, if you see on the truck, behind the truck, honk, honk please. And we all kind of when drive kind of start honking in India. But here when you see, nobody is honking. And later I realized that honking is a very massive thing. You should not, or it's only to prevent an accident.
Hmm.
Then I had to learn driving, so that's another experience. From a professional wise, I will say when I went to office, and I still there I remember one thing or one incident. So in India, I had to move my desk, and one of my leaders or senior has to move their desk too. He came and told, "Oh, can you guys move my stuff too?" As if like asking for it. Here, when I had to do the same thing, my client side boss or manager came and took or pulled all the boxes for me and alongside moved with me. I was like, that was a shock. And why am I trying to bring it up? Here in office, no matter what is your designation or whatnot, people treat you with respect. Asked my last CEO, he's a great leader and he's one of my mentor too. He really told me one thing, Avijit, CEO and janitor both are serving this company. You don't need to treat me differently than a janitor. And that kind of humbleness, respect to people, when I see it here, sometimes I don't see that same level of humbleness or respect to people going back to India. So that's another shock, but it is a really a nice shock for me. Also, work-life balance. Here, a lot of time I see people really don't do work after 5 or 6, and they have a life after work. Sometime in India, I haven't seen that. So those are few good things what I saw, and always it was a massive change. Making sure adjusting with the new culture was a headache.
No, that's wonderful, and I'm so happy that it turned out to be a positive change. And some of the differences that you just talked about, of course, I'm sure that many of people who, like you, move to US or other countries, I'm sure they have also gone through the similar experience. Now, but that mindset, like starting the business impact, human experience, uh, would really be tested in one of your most complex projects. Now, you have tackled some genuinely complex projects over your career. One that stands out is when you led a platform migration for 10 plus systems during a uh, business divestiture. That that's one of the most complex and high stakes scenarios in any enterprise IT. Everything's on fire, timelines are aggressive, stakeholders are nervous. Could you walk us through the moment when you realized how massive this was going to be, and how did you keep your team focused when everything felt like it was on fire?
That project, still I remember. It's I I went to India in 2014 December. Came back. Then my manager called me and told that, oh, we have a divestiture that came up. We have to separate our current entity and spin up a new company, and laid down the whole 9 years in front of me. And then, oh, by the way, we have to get this done by October 1st. I was like, that October 1st, 2016? No, 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 October 1st, 2015. That gave us just about 9 months. So we have, and this is where you don't have a blueprint also ready kind of scenario. So you have 9 months to this tie like a untie everything from the current ecosystem, move them every to somewhere else, and use something. Most of the things you don't know. And you may realize in a big enterprise, lot of time you don't have everything laid out very properly, not everything documented very well. It was that situation.
Now, sorry, just one follow up. I'm sure that uh, uh, that must have kind of disrupted the work life balance that you mentioned, not only about you but for your team as well, because you had to achieve so much in such a short time. While you are answering, if you can touch on that as well, how did you
A-
manage
a-
that?
Absolutely. So yeah, as you mentioned, so I still remember one of the Japanese executive who was in charge to do this diversity share. He came to me and asked one day, do you think it's going to happen? We have only this time, and I will say on that day, I said, yes, we will make it happen. So then when I came back, when we were talking internally as a technical side, what we did break this whole divestiture in few stream. And when I'm talking about stream, once was the setting up the infrastructure was one kind of stream. Decoupling the existing application, second kind of stream. Third stream was move them from the new data center. These are all things we are thinking. We divide the everything in a multiple stream or streamline. Basically, we try to break the work in small chunks so that we can chew. That's one thing we did. Then we also try to draw the what is the current ecosystem looks like.
Okay.
Put everything on the paper. Then we strategically decided which one we can decouple and which one we can live without it.
Okay.
And when we did that, obviously mixing up financial numbers and other thing is not an option. Some of the things like maybe using the laptop, moving the laptop from one domain to another domain was an option. So we had to do that. We had to very thoroughly go through all the inventory, find out what we need to decouple. And third thing, what we had to do, what will be our new softwares or what or where we are going to put all the things, how we are going to find out a data center. Those are all different things. So mainly one side, we had to find out what do we have, break out the things in a small chunk,
Hmm.
list down what inventory we have and how we can decouple what we can live with. And then third thing is that where we are going to move. When we had that high level blueprint done, we gave that one to the whole team. We had a consulting firm also came in, helped us with the whole project, and this whole team was there. We laid down the blueprint and then let the team also run with it.
Okay.
Yes, work-life balance was disturbed a lot. I will say
Hmm.
that. We will jump in a call middle of the night or middle of the day because we are in US and India. So no matter one side, you always will be middle of the night kind of scenario. And at that time, I was working in a Pacific time zone too. But at the end, the team really did great work.
Hmm.
They really understood the whole part of it. And that orchestration was done very well. Not everybody has to done the whole work. We
Hmm.
piece it is so small, it was chewable, and that work was delivered. And I remember, I think it was around mid-September, the same Japanese executive came, and that's the day where we had the party of, okay, everything done, it's ready to go live. And that day, that Japanese executive came back and told me again, Abhijit, your job is done. Now my job starts. I was like, what does it mean? Oh, no, you migrated everything. Everything is ready for go. Now I need to bring the money to buy this whole thing or fund the thing. So that moment was really good for me, or I was very proud, not for me, for my team, how they delivered it, how quickly they learned it and put everything in the reality. So it was a great project. I feel it's all done because of a good teamwork and very good planning.
No, absolutely. And I think that experience really speaks to your leadership approach as well. I know that you call yourself a tech savvy humanist who prioritizes customer experience. That's an that's an interesting position. Like you are deeply technical, but you always put the human element first. Can you give us an example where the technically optimal solution was not the right solution because of the human impact? And how did you make that call?
I I'll say that I learned this in a hard way. It it's about 2 years in my career. We did a project, and I was at an offshore doing, as you mentioned, COBOL development. I still remember COBOL, DB2, Kicks, mm, IMS, all these things I was doing. We created a product, we put it in production. Everything was very smooth. During post production, also zero defect. I think anybody as a developer, 2 to 3 years developer, you tell this one, and it doesn't matter. Anybody will say that excellent job we did, right? We were
Mm,
all like patting our back. Everything was so great. And then I moved to states and moved here, and I was really proud. Oh, we delivered that without any bug and anything. And one day I went and asked an user. The response I got, we never use that system. You can feel the shock I got on that day.
absolutely.
So it's like a huge balloon was there with pride, and somebody came and put a needle on it. So whole layer busted. However, I was able to hold my emotion, and I asked, why didn't you use it? It's such a great thing. Everything is there. Then she explained, you know, it never thought how users are going to use it and what the user workflow is. So on that day,
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. So nowadays, if I need to build or design something, I start thinking on the first thing is that what is the big picture? What we are
Yeah.
trying to solve for. I really don't go dive, oh, we can use AI or data or nothing like that. What's the big picture? What we want to solve for? Then go to the next step. What's the workflow or user experience means to?
Yeah.
Then the third step is that designing what technology solution and everything that comes in picture. So on that day onwards, the lesson I learned early in my career really keeps me on track and every day. For me, technology, IT is a catalyst. It's there to drive the business growth, is there to help user to do their job best. The day we forget that and we try to do something, ignoring these two factors, we may create a nicest thing, but nobody will use it. It doesn't make any sense on that.
I think that's an, excellent learning, and totally I can resonate with that. that especially in the earlier days, we get more excited with technical achievements or accomplishments, but we always miss the big picture, that why are we even developing something? I mean, we are developing something so that someone can use it. So the the thought process has to start backwards, not from that technical solution, but from users. That's a great insight and learning. And I'm sure that the listeners who are specifically get super excited of using AI or Gen AI in their projects might, give a pause and rethink that when they should feel more proud when they are able to build a Gen AI model, or when whatever they developed, whether it's Gen AI or simple analytic solution, was able to impact a significant amount of users. No, that's great insight. But building system is one thing, but building people, that's a different kind of legacy. You mentioned mentoring and grooming 5 future leaders while building a 20% team. Now, can you tell us about one person, let's say, you mentored who went on to surprise you with how far they have come? Like, what did you do differently with them?
I think the best part of my job is grooming people. It's like you sow a seed and see the flower is coming. There is a difference, like a gap when you sow the seed and when the flower blooms. But if you diligently nurture that, diligently nurture that plant, you will get that bloom one day. That's the joy I get from my job. And being a technologist and being a mentor, I said few days back, and again I say to everybody who is in a people leader position, or mainly who are transitioning from a technologist to a people leader, in a system, you give input A, 99% of the time you will get the output, same output. If you are not getting the same output, then there is a bug, you will start debugging. But your expectation is that if I give in same input, I will always get the same output.
Absolutely.
That's how
Yeah.
system works. People, you give one input, depending on the day, or if depending on the time of the day, depending on the person, you will get a different output. That's just unpredictability is one joy you get. And I will say I am very lucky in that way. I was talking about that divestiture project, right? We had only 9 months to deliver. We finished the blueprinting and everything. We selected a product. By that time, we had only 2 to 3 months to implement and make the product run. And at that time, I was working with one person. I consider him as my friend also. He came in, he learned that product within few days and developed everything and delivered it. When I was there and I was trying to guide him or mentor him on that way, or in any case also I'll say what I do, I give him the what is the impact statement by doing it what he is going to serve and how his work is going to fit it in the project. And then I trust him on this, that he can deliver it. We have discussion almost for me it was every night, for him it was every day. We had that discussion, and this is a long distance, you can see, like on-site offshore model. We discussed, and also he did his part also. If he had a challenge, he will ask,
Hmm.
and we try to solve it. And not every challenge, not everybody knows the answer. Sometimes I know, sometimes I don't know. I also have to do some research. Being that open, tell him that, okay, if I don't know, I don't know, let's come together and try to solve it.
Hmm.
That exchange of opinion, that trust. And whenever a small win happen, we always celebrate it all. I always encouraged, okay, good job. And three thing I all on that case also, and three things I always tell to every of my team member. Do not be afraid to do a new thing.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid to make a mistake. It does not mean that you go and knowingly make a mistake in production. Not that. Do not that one. Second one is that if you make a mistake, if you come to know, as soon as you come to know, please let me know or let other know. Ask for help. And third and the last one, which is most important, do not make the same mistake again. These are the three things I tell to all my team members and everybody. And in that matter of fact, everyone I will say the same thing. And by trusting others, it's a very good journey for me. And I will say I had repeated this process again and again. And every time we kind of both got surprised by each other. Once you trust somebody and say that you trust them and
Hmm.
let them know that, you will always get good result. And so
I
in that matter of fact, I'll say I feel myself very lucky.
No, absolutely. And again, I have seen that. I mean, if I look at let's say team members who are at their early career, I think either they are scared that what happens if they make mistake. They are unsure that uh, about their relation with their leader, whether onshore or offshore. So it's great to know that you clarified it upfront, that what's important. We are all human. There can be mistakes, but how we can evolve when we make a mistake. Communication is first, that you don't try to hide it. You rather talk about it. Don't be shy about it. Don't be ashamed about it. Rather, let help solve it, so that, if as an individual you want to grow, you need to learn how to not to repeat a mistake. So that leader, mentor can help you guide that. So no, that's a great perspective. And I think that's also related to when we get into a forum or in conversation, we see, a few members are shying away from asking question. They feel that, how they will be perceived if they ask a question, because his or her question might be very basic. And in the room, there are, so many senior leaders. I think the problem is, if you don't ask that question, then even in the same meeting, you will have the same question again. At least you got the opportunity to clarify that question, so that in the next meeting, you can ask something else. So No, I really, really appreciate that how you clarified the ground rules with your team. And that's actually helped creating or building that trust that you mentioned. All
Think
right.
I'll say like this, like if you have a question, ask that. There is no question is a stupid question. And also I learned from my mentor or my leaders, and I try to do the same thing. And this one I'll say, I as a leader today, if my team makes a mistake, I will be in the front line to take the ownership of the whole mistake. However, when teams does that job, like do a job nicely, they can be in the front line, and I will give all kudos to them. Once you and I have seen this one when I made mistake also in the past. My leader went there and shared the responsibility. So that thing I have seen. And once you do that, what you are doing by showing that gesture or by doing that, you are giving a new plan to grow. You are not stopping that. And that goes a long way. Same thing. I still remember about those leaders or mentors who did that same activity with me, and exact same thing. If I did it with somebody, they are still remember. Yeah. So that goes a long way.
No, absolutely. I think you said it uh, so well, but it's very difficult to do a lot of the times. Taking or at least sharing ownership of failure is probably the toughest thing, and that actually talks about uh, how confident you are about your leadership and your credibility, so that you also don't feel scared of sharing that failure. No, these are great examples, and thanks for sharing. Now, switching gears and switching to you, let's talk about your own continuous learning journey. Now, you are clearly learning aggressively. You recently completed a postgraduate program in AI/ML. You have earned multiple Azure certifications. You traveled to Japan for Kaizen immersion at Toyota's headquarters. You are constantly upskilling, right? Now, for someone back in a tier three in India right now, who has the grades and the drive, but not the roadmap, someone who might be where you were 25 years ago, what's that one thing you wish you had known earlier that would have made this journey even more smoother?
Great question, Kosik. On this one, let's say if I can lead my life again, one thing I think which I did not know when I was growing up, or I did not do, obviously reading good books. And what I know now or what I read few books now. And if I have read those books at that time, or if I need to relive my life again, I will start with the end in my mind. And if I may quote, I'm quoting it from Seven Habits from Stephen Covey. It's a great book where he's telling, think what do you want on your deathbed. So anybody who is listening, no matter in which stage in their life, if you think that, and if I change it, change this in little bit different perspective or from our day-to-day project world,
Hmm.
it's like you know what is your end goal and then break it up. So same thing with your life. What do you want at the end of your life? What do you want on your deathbed? Let's say you have 60 years to live. Then break it up. Break it up for 20 years and then last 20 years or your closest 20 years. Then break it up for every year. If you want to be a knowledgeable person, maybe you wanted to read more books. Then break it up. Maybe a 1 page a day. So that gives you a perspective where you want to be and what path you wanted to carve. And when you are driving or when you are walking on that path, don't think that the path will be smooth and what I planned it will be exactly that way. Never happens in our life. You need to take a pause, look back and correct your path, keeping the end in mind where you are. And that's how we all call in a project or technology or any other world plan, do, check, act. You plan what you want to be, do things, check, and then act on that one. And at this stage in my life, I can assure you, or I can tell you with 100% confidence, if you want something very badly, you will get it. No matter what. Look back. Swami Vivekananda came to US about a century back, more than a century back. Do, do you think that he thought that, oh, it will be such a easy trip and it was such a easy trip from him?
Absolutely.
But he had a dream. And I will tell you that he was not daydreaming. The dream kept him awake in the night. So if you have something like that, if you have some zeal or dream like that, you will get it done. I'll give an example of one of my life story. I, I graduated from the college in 2002 without getting my pass or fail mark sheet. I joined TCS. So our semester ended in June 30th or June, last week of June. And my joining date was TCS was 7th, 8th July. And this is just after 9/11. So people are not getting job or getting rejection letter. I had no courage to postpone my joining date. So I joined. TCS has a nice training program and and in that training program, our faculty, she was also a TCS employee. So she came and asked us how many people read book. And I'll say coming from where I was not reading too many books at that time. So She threw out a book name, and I remember, and you probably heard about this. Think and Go Rich. Being being in my 20s, I thought when I heard this book name, right? So I can think and grow rich. What better can it be? I took the book. I'll confess to all of your audience and you also. It took me about 10 years to finish that book. Not that the book was too hard or anything. It just did not have a vision, or I did not put that plan that I will read a book or I will read one page a day. That's the lack of planning. But when I realized that's something I need to correct, so I did that. After reading that book, I can tell you one thing. Yes, people can be rich just by thinking, but that thinking is not a dead end. So you need to have that zeal inside you, and you need to have that. And nowadays, I will say, like, if you have anything, any zeal, it may be a technology, it may be a business or anything, you can ask Google. Now, when we were growing up, for us to getting resources was hard. Getting hold of people were very hard. But nowadays you have Google. You can get things. I'll give you one example where I'll tell, like, it's not impossible to get anything done. So it was 2002. I joined TCS and we are in Trivandrum going through the training program. So one day I heard in the training program, head in the Trivandrum branch came and gave a lecture in front of all of us. And he told one thing. So we all do the testing QA, right? And it's not always 100% foolproof. There are some foolproof way to get that training done, or sorry, testing done. It kind of came in my mind, and I thought, I need to know that. What is that fool? And think about this. I am a trainee, joined just 2 months. I am trying to talk with the person who is running that whole training center. You can tell that, okay, maybe I am daydreaming. I don't know his schedule or anything like that. One day, I saw him in his office. I kind of tried to get all my courage together, knock the door, and ask him, I heard your speech. I don't want to take too much of your time. I heard your speech. I wanted to know how this testing methodology works. Then what happened, it was a little bit funny. So he told me, okay, go call somebody from the faculty. So I went and I called somebody. And we were one of the group who were making lot of noises and things in the class. And faculties will come and give us some punishment. So when I went and asked one of the faculty member that he's asking or he's calling, he was a little bit scared. Oh, these guys probably go in there and complain against me. So, but end of the day, he went, and then what he told this faculty, like, go ahead and arrange a session. I will give demo. I will tell how it done. And that session. So that day I learned two things. One, if you want something very badly, you can get it. And two, if you want or if you need something, ask for it. If you don't ask for it, answer is always zero. You will not get it. If you ask for it, there is a 50% probability you will get it. In my life, I'll say all my mentorship happen only like this. I will probably sit in an audience. Somebody, you may think that he is very up high to reach, or it's very hard to get hold of him, right? If I see some good quality in him or her, I'll try to see what how I can go and I can give an elevator speech or an elevator email, sort out that. I'll say out of five, four of these went through. One I did not get response. So it's not that you will not get response or every time it will be successful. No. However, if you don't ask, answer is always no for sure. So I'll encourage all of you. If you feel somebody you want to reach out, go ask. The max answer will be no. Anyway, if you don't ask, answer is always no. So in a whole, I'll say, if you want something and if you have really, really want something, you will get it. Just go for it. Don't say that it's impossible to reach. You will reach there.
Yeah. And maybe if you are not putting that effort, maybe you actually don't want it. Maybe that's a superficial thought that you want that, but actually you don't want it. Because if you actually want it, as you mentioned, then you will go all out for it. I mean, you won't even think that whether someone will respond, whether someone is like 5 level senior than me, or whether someone is based out of US and not in India. Uh, I believe sometimes, I think the problem, at least in office, what happens is that people kind of, treat the way they take decision or go about something in their personal life versus their professional life. If you think about your personal life, and let's say a scenario or a situation that you want one of your loved ones to get treated immediately, against all odds, I'm sure you will make it happen.
That's
But
exactly.
if it's in office, it's about a project, then you will always ask a question that it's Friday evening. I think it's okay if we kind of postpone things for Monday. Uh, because you won't feel that kind of a urge. So the urge that you felt and you just, shared and talked about, I think that I'm sure that will give a lesson to the listener that no one is actually responsible for your success or what you want in your life. If you want something in your life, small, big, whatever be that it is, you will have to take the first ride, and you will have to keep trying. That persistence is important. Uh, Otherwise, as you mentioned, if you don't try, you know the answer. It's zero. There is no chance. If you try, at least it's better than zero. So, no, that's great insight and wisdom for the folks who always uh, kind of doubt how much of effort they should put. Um, Great. Let us understand about your some of the work that you are doing outside your office space. Like, I can understand that in your life already packed with demanding work. You are also learning continuously. Uh, you are also dedicating significant time to scouting. Now, your posts on LinkedIn about the Turkey camp and spending weekends with hundreds of scouts really stand out. What drew you to scouting, and what do you learn from those kids that makes you a better technology leader?
What drew me in scouting is my son. When he joined, I started following him. You can blame me for helicopter parenting, that's fine. But when I start seeing what he was doing and everything, it's really pulled me in that whole process. Uh, when I grew up, we had something like NCC also. Scouting, I haven't heard too much, but also when we grew up, for us, like study is the only thing, and hands-on was very less. But when I see this opportunity of doing hands-on, going in the wild and to learn survival skill, that's something drew me in. Now I have a rule with my son. He cannot talk with me when I'm in the scout meeting. He can talk with anybody else, any other adult, no other than me, or I will also not go and bother him. So that's
Yep.
the rule we have. For me, it's an opportunity or it gives me a window to unwind from my work. So
Hmm.
it helps me professionally or mentally. Things what I learned from these scouts are great, great things, I'll say, like how they will ask questions. Just to give you an example, like giving you an answer may be easy for me than giving a 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid. If I want to say that I know that topic, I should able to explain that them.
Absolutely.
So that tells me where I am lacking, how I need to bring up the examples. That really translate my work life also. End user, if I try to tell them how data work, how AI work, how does it work with the end user? So how to translate a complex problem, complex things in a simple language so that people can understand. I learned for this scout also. And if you think about this, they're small kids. Max, they may be teenager. If I get some teenager in my class, I will be happy. Their attention span is also small.
Hmm.
Translated to the user. You are in a business meeting and you have to talk about some technology. Do you think your business users are going to listen you for long with the technology thing?
No,
Those
I
are the things that are really helpful for me.
think I didn't see that coming, like scouting and relating that to explaining some of the jargons or technical elements to clients. I know that if you talk to, maybe 8 out of the 10 leaders in the industry, they of course will share you the phrase that uh, you need to break down those technical jargons into layman language. But how to do that? I think the example that you just shared, I think that's a real life example that if you can explain it to a 6-year-old or even an 8 year, 10-year-old, then explaining it to your client is even easier.
So I was in a class, I'll share this story with you. I was in a class for digital technology. And one of the concept was how computers store data. If I need to tell you, I'll tell you, Osik, data is stored in 0 and 1. You have bits, bytes, blah, blah, blah. Do I need to go too far? No. You already know these things. It's easy for me. So what I did, uh, luckily in that room, you had 8 tube lights on the ceiling. And that totally coincident. I did not arrange that or anything. So I switched off the light. What it is, dark. Switch it on. What it is, total light. Right? Think about one tube light. If I consider 0 and 1. Yes or no? True, false. I add one more. So I have two states. 0, 1. Add one more. How many? Like that. Okay. So this is how one particular information stored in computer. And that impromptu coming up with this example, I was like, I learned those things from those kids, and you need to grab their attention too, and
Yeah,
also need to explain.
that's an interesting example. And like how computers store data with an example of tube light to kids.
Hmm.
That that's really unique. All right. Now, coming back to the strategic side again of the work that you have led, multiple digital transformations by this point. You have seen what works and what does not work. What's the most common mistake that you see the organizations make when they announce a digital transformation mission? And what really separates the ones that succeed from the ones that quietly fail?
So, in my experience, I will say most common mistake of a digital transformation is treating it as a technology project.
Hmm.
Whereas a digital transformation is mostly a foundational cultural shift. We ignore that one. And that's what I was telling, like a user experience, that part we ignore. To make a digital transformation successful, you need to know why you are doing it, why
Agree.
behind it. You cannot start, I want to do a digital transformation because this new technology is here. You need to start from a why. Define those success criteria upfront. And if you see there is a deviation of that,
Hmm.
some point of time you need to take the hard decision.
Of
And in
course.
all this ecosystem, right, all the large companies, small companies, wherever you go,
Hmm.
technology is one component. You have other two, people and process. You
Right.
cannot do a digital transformation excluding people and process.
True.
So we need to make sure, or we only, when you start a digital transformation, we need to make sure that we keep focus on these two component also equally with the technology component. Uh, like in a system, if you give input A,
Hmm.
your output is always almost defined. Being people and process in, process also some point of time output is not that variable.
Yep.
People being in, it's widely
True.
varies.
Yeah.
So to make a digital transformation successful,
Hmm.
consider all three together, focus more on people, your technology will come on the way. And majority of time we miss that people part
Yeah.
of it.
True. I think I have seen that happening in many organizations. That, as you mentioned, uh, generally everyone starts with, we want to bring in these tools or that tool. Like, if you think about today, we want to implement agentic AI or generative AI in our firm. Uh, but first of all, why do you want to bring it? Is it because that everyone else is talking about it? That's why you too also want to bring in that. And when you bring it up, then first of all, how does it impact your finances? How does it impact your people? Like uh, the change management, how they use operate versus how they will. Uh, you have already some legacy systems. Are you going to shut them down overnight? Because yes, agent or generative AI might give you some benefit, but if you think about the migration from that existing process to the new process, that's also going to incur some cost. Are you accounting that as well? So just going by, I want to run a digital transformation, totally doesn't make any sense. You'll have to consider about all the pockets, and only then your digital transformation will be successful.
I agreed. So it's basically you don't want to buy something because my neighbor has that. That looks cool. But you need to make sure that do you have the space for it? Do you have any
Yep.
utilization for it? So those things you need to think. So that same thing. Like other companies are doing this doesn't mean that you need to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you do that, it will be mostly a POC, and that POC will never see the daylight or nobody will use it.
Totally. Totally. Uh, Great. Now here's a question that goes back to the early days. Uh, was there a specific moment or conversation early in your career, maybe at TCS, in those first few years in Chennai, or when you first moved to LA, where someone said or did something that made you realize, I can actually do this at the highest level? If we can learn about that moment.
Also, moment come every moment, right? So yes, I did have some kind of defining moment. And I will say that that defining moment did not come too early in my career too. It came little late, but it's better than never.
Yep.
So absolutely. So this is what happened. And that day I saw a true leader or a great leader,
Mm.
then how he nurtured me and sow a seed in my mind. One of my team members ran some job in production.
Okay.
So you know that what can happen and all these things. So
Mm.
I had to carry that bad news to him. He was CIO at the time. And so obviously, I don't want anybody else to carry that. I need to do that myself. But when I did it, he did not react to anything bad or any massive way. He asked me a few questions. He never asked who did it.
Hmm.
That's one great quality I would say. He just asked, what happened? Do you know the impact? What needs to be done? At that point, I did not have all the answers.
Yep.
What happened? I gave a little bit this detail. Impact analysis was going on, and I told like based on the impact that we will take the corrective action.
Right.
So he was really okay. Just keep me posted. Done. We did it everything, not massive impact. We were able to revert back everything what happened. And then later point, I gave an update as usual.
Right.
The later point, he I asked him like, why you did not react like that? He told me he told me two things and which stayed with me, almost will stay with me forever. I trusted on you. I know he knew that you can do it. No question on that. And that's why I'm not bothered. And second thing he told, you can do much more than this.
See.
Looking back, I'll say like those two statements, like somebody else is trusting you
Yep.
and looking your potential in you, that was a defining moment for me. And then I think I realized a leader who show you what you cannot see. So that's why he's one of my mentor too. So yeah, that's kind of a defining moment for me. At least I remember till there it happened. Yeah, about 5 to 10 years ago. So I still remember that night.
Excellent. And I can visualize how that situation or moment has been for you. But uh, great. I think maybe a lot of us go through that moment, but you were able to connect to that. I think that's something that we all can learn from this particular story. Great. Avijit, this has been an incredible conversation, a very powerful conversation you know, from tier three India to leading transformations at Toyota, from those early days at TCS to now shaping AI ML strategy, from individual contributor to someone who has grown 5 future leaders and mentor scouts on weekends. Your journey is a masterclass in continuous growth, putting people first and staying grounded while aiming high. Thank you for sharing your story so generously. I know our listeners are going to take so much away from this episode.
Thank you, Kosik. Thanks for having me. I hope at least one. I'm trying to put seed in some people's mind. At least one will grow.
Absolutely. I
Thank you.
love that perspective. Thank you so much for your time. And to our listeners, if this conversation resonated with you, uh, and wherever you get your podcast, share it with someone who is navigating their own career journey, especially if they are from a non-traditional background or dealing with a major transition. Until next time, remember, your resume gets you in the room, but your story, the real one, is what makes the difference.